Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the what if confrontations. The current Heims to Yuya, Kyuubi and Samui. What the hell are you all doing here? Anko asked. And what do you mean we know the answer? Kurenai joined. The former Heims glared at the current ones. Well, we were on a walk to meet Naruto for our date when we overheard you four. Samui answered. We just want to warn you bitches. Yuya spoke. Stay the hell away from our Naruto. Anko stepped forward with a confident smirk. Hey, if don't want us being near him, that means you're worried our chances of getting him are pretty high. She knew how this game worked. Too many women were suspicious if she were around their men for more than 5 seconds. Wrong. Kyuubi stated. We're worried that if you somehow worm yourselves into his heart, you'll just break it again. We won't. Hana whispered. We just want him to love us again. There was pain in her voice, a pain that all four of them shared. It only grew whenever they saw the new Heims on Naruto's arm. Two of the greatest pains known to both man and woman. Guilt and heartbreak, a pain that could only be healed with two things. Forgiveness and love. Well, don't get your hopes up. Kyuubi stated. I know Naruto is forgiving, but getting something like that is near impossible. Well, we'll just have to see about that. Hana growled. Watch where you growl, bitch. Yuya ordered. How dare she? Hana thought. Only Naruto-kun can call me that. For in Inuzuka, the term was taken differently than other women. Well, he intends to call you that and more. Samui spoke. Maybe you should all head back to your boyfriends. Kyuubi stated. We don't want them. Kurenai stated. We only want one. Yugao stated. You will not get near him. Samui stated. Who's going to stop us? Anko asked. Samui drew her sword while Yuya drew her flute. The former mistresses drew their weapons as well. Naruto will be ours. Hana snapped. What? The former mistresses turned to see their now ex-boyfriends. Asuma, Hayate and Iruka. When a man finds out their woman loves another man, there are 3 reactions. Self-doubt. What did I do wrong? Betrayal. How could she? The most common, however, is the strongest. Rage. I'll kill him. That reaction was going in full swing for the male trio. And they all had the same target. Naruto. A shudder went down our favorite blonde's spine. What was that? Tsunade asked as they sat in the restaurant. I think I pissed someone off. Naruto answered. What? But you've just been sitting there. Tsunade cried. We haven't even ordered our dinner. Where are the other Heims? Naruto asked. Tsunade shrugged. Naruto decided to search for their chakra signatures. To do so, he needed to spread out his range and feel for them. First he felt Tsunade Heim. The customers in the restaurant. The citizens going about their day. Asuma, Hayate and Iruka moving toward him in anger. More civilly. What? He felt the male trio's chakra constantly go off. A obvious sign of anger, that and the killer intent. Naruto Uzumaki. They screamed. I haven't even done anything. He spoke to himself. They entered the restaurant like savages. Their weapons were drawn and their killer intent flowed out like a river. What is going on? The Hokage demanded. Your precious boy toy has stolen our girlfriends. Asuma spoke. Again. How in the? Tsunade was at a loss. You know what? No. Snapping her hands, the Anbu guards were out. They had surrounded the men and were ready to strike. She turned her attentions to Naruto. Or at least where he was supposed to be. The Heims and the mistresses were at a standstill. Kurenai and Yuya, Yugao and Samui, Hana and Kyuubi. Anko and Naruto was standing between the Anbu and the intruding men. And he was angry. His rage had caused the bit that was being directed toward him to fail. They felt as if they were having a physical weight adding pressure unto them. It was enough to force all 3 of them to their knees. When they finally raised their head, they saw Naruto swing his elemental sword. Chakra-laced wind, not the kind that cut everything to shreds. It was more pressure. They were blown outside of the door onto their backs. Naruto made his way out to them. The Anbu decided to stay back until the Hokage ordered differently. What is going on? Naruto asked them. Why are my Heims fighting against your girlfriends? That's what we want to know. Hayate screamed. Well, we are going to go find out. Naruto stated. Well, come on, or do I have to drag you? I can't feel my legs. Iruka moaned in agony. Dragging it is. Naruto. Tsunade called. I'm assuming our date is cancelled. Naruto nodded in reply. Well, I'm grabbing some sake and heading back to the office. The women had been squaring off since the men had come and gone. They had been flaring their chakra, trying to intimidate the opposite group. Now they were going to strike. They each took a step forward. They had expected a lot of things. A jutsu, a war cry, a bitch slap, even a kunai. What they didn't expect was for Naruto's Kusanagi blade to come crashing down between them. The blade was imbued with so much force that instead of sinking into the ground, it caused a quake. If that wasn't enough, Naruto wasn't wielding it. But he was close. Here it comes, Chiyuya stated. We've experienced it before, Yugao thought. This aggressive aura, Kurenai trembled. This fighting spirit, Hana admired. This demonic aura, Enko relished. This hate, they all feared. They had felt Naruto's fear power many times. But even now, they were rarely on the receiving end. For the Heims, it was like being in a pair of strong and protective arms. For the Ice Queens, it was like having the cold steel of a blade to their necks. Naruto. All 7 women spoke. Ice Queens. Naruto stated. What are you doing here? The Ice Queen looked to one another. This was their chance, to tell how they felt and beg for forgiveness. Well, Naruto-kun, Kurenai spoke hesitantly, gaining a raised eyebrow. She motioned to her friends. We're having a serious discussion, and we were hoping. We want you to take us back. Enko stated. Naruto looked at the women he once called sensei and lovers. He looked at his Heims to see if it was some kind of joke. One look said the situation was real. They expected shouts of protest, anger, disbelief. They had even prayed for forgiveness. What they got was laughter. Not a mocking laughter or even his usual madness. It was a laughter as if he had been told a funny joke. What's so funny? Hana asked. He paused long enough to look at their faces. Wait, you're serious? They nodded. He didn't know whether to laugh or curse. Of all the things you could have said, Naruto muttered, this was the least expected. You know it's true, Hana stated. You can tell when someone lies to you. Are we lying? Yugao asked. Naruto paused to feel for them. He did not like the answer he found in them. They're telling the truth. Now he only felt like cursing. Now that he laughed a familiar laugh. One of coldness. Well, Heims, he spoke mockingly, if you want my love, then get on your knees and crawl to me. They were proud kunoichi. They were proud women. Usually if any man had said something like that to them, there would be a fight. But these proud kunoichi were desperate. They wanted nothing more than to get back on Naruto's good side. Even if it caused them public humiliation, they'd do what he asked. So they tossed their pride to the side and dropped to their knees. They made their way toward Naruto, keeping their heads down and eyes averted. When they finally reached him, they looked up. What they saw didn't make them happy. Naruto wasn't wearing a smile of any kind. Instead, he had on a frown of complete disappointment. Wah, slap. Both the Ice Queens and the Heims were shocked by his action. Naruto wasn't one for hitting women, even with a broken heart. He usually only did so in combat. Even when the Ice Queens had broken up with him, he had never attacked him until the contract. Now he delivered a blow to each of them that knocked them to the ground. When everyone had a grasp PF themselves, he was gone. Naruto was jumping around the village as he tried to clear his head. He hadn't felt this confused in a while. On one hand, the Ice Queens were telling him the truth. They wanted him to forgive them. They had even submitted to utter humiliation. It was too confusing. The worst part was he couldn't even drink his problems away. It was a situation that was too crazy for him to drive mad. Not physically real so that he could stab it. Or even trustworthy enough to show love. What was a guy to do? Well, for Naruto, there was only one thing to do. Go to his little piece of heaven. Bet you all forgot about the foxes again. Naruto was finally relaxed. He was in his little den with his foxes. His own home away from home. He was with his first family. Hey guys, he says to them. Grr, and girls, he hastily added. It seemed his family had been growing in his absence. There were more foxes crowding around him. He couldn't be happier, it was the same as having a larger family. He couldn't help but fall asleep. Then he felt it, the disturbance. Someone else was coming toward him. The shocker was that it wasn't his Heims or the Ice Queens. Naruto. A male voice called. Who has the balls to come here? Naruto shouted. It was Shikamaru arriving in a nervous fashion. Before you do anything, he stated, I have a seal from your girlfriend, the Hokage. It must be important. Naruto realized. He became confused when Shikamaru pulled out a small sheet of paper. He began speaking in a rehearsed manner. Naruto, what is your favorite thing to do? To spread my love to my Heim. Naruto answered without hesitation. And driving people insane, Shikamaru stated. Just try to fucking stop me. Even through hunting people down like an animal. He asked. Second verse same as the first. Naruto stated. Now put me on a plane so I can put them in a hearse. Quote. It's too troublesome to ask what you just said. Shikamaru stated. Here's the mission. Naruto 2-1 peek at it. The mission. Retrieve Sasuke Uchiha. Dead or alive. The hunt. Do you understand the mission, Naruto-kun? Tsunade asked. Yes. He answered happily. He was on a mission to retrieve Sasuke Uchiha. If that couldn't be done, then execute him. All he had to do was keep minimal damage to the body and return it. The most important part being the eyes and manhood. So, who's on the mission? He asked. Shikamaru. Who did you choose and where are they? Tsunade asked. The team already left, Shikamaru answered before giving a yawn. Quote. What? Why aren't you with them? Naruto and Tsunade screamed. I fell asleep. Quote. Tsunade Heim. Naruto spoke, never taking his eyes off Shikamaru. I'm going to go ahead and request command of this mission. Granted. Taking Tayuya with me, bye. So shithead. Tayuya spoke as they jumped through the forest. Why did you bring me? Since you're Orochimaru's former ninja, I thought you could give me some info on whoever we run into. Tayuya had to admit, it made sense. Plus, I feel we don't spend enough time together. You think that about all of us? Tayuya stated. Before Naruto could reply, he felt the first chakra signature. It was Choji in another signature, one that felt familiar. Well, I'll find out who it is when we arrive. As soon as they arrived, they saw the results of the first battle. It was Choji in one of the Sound 4. While Choji looked to be on his last leg, the Sound Nin was on, breathing lightly. And in Curse 1, Naruto saw that Choji was about to eat a red pill. Must be some kind of soldier pill. He thought. It was when Naruto saw him hesitate that he knew something was wrong. It must be dangerous, he reasoned. Unlike most of the ninja, Choji started off nice to Naruto. He didn't need to think about what he would do next. Drawing his sword, he pushed out wind chakra. It hit the pill, destroying it, without so much as scratching Choji. Choji looked at the destroyed pill in his hand. His determination was replaced by fear. Fear that fed Naruto. Naruto. Tayuya spoke. That's Jirobo, he's the weakest of the Sound 4, but also the strongest. Tayuya then turned toward them. Can you distract him while I rescue Choji? He asked, receiving a nod. Hey, fatty of a fat bastard. She shouted. What? Choji and the Sound Nin screamed. Jirobo was the first to recover. Hello, traitor. He greeted. I'll deal with you as soon as I'm done with this weakling. Crushing palm. The blow was strong enough to break stone. It would have done much more had it not been blocked by Naruto. More specifically, the Kusanagi. If you hadn't been forcing chakra into your hand, Naruto spoke, this blade would have skewered it. Konoha trash. Jirobo growled. More of you just pop out of nowhere. He smirked. Well, that makes more to crush. That's right, Naruto stated calmly. You can right, because you're the biggest and strongest, right? That's right. Wrong. Jirobo of the Sound 4. Naruto whispered, I know what you're afraid of. As Naruto spoke, his form began to dissolve into mist. But the mist never had a chance to falter, it began to reform into a new figure. Tsunade. What the? A powerful blow silenced him. You're afraid that you aren't the strongest. Jirobo began to stand, now enraged but steady. Naruto may be able to change into a person, but he didn't become them. That meant no super strength. Never. Jirobo shouted as he returned the blow. I'll be the strongest. Really, but you rely on chakra and false strength. The mist returned. Not again. While others train themselves to be strong on their own. He spoke, to continue fanning our youthful flames. Guy, enough of the useless genjutsu. Jirobo shouted, fight like a man. Fine, no reason to drag this out. Naruto stated as himself. Yes, now I'll kill you and the traitor. He proclaimed. How is a dead man going to do that? Naruto asked. What? Jirobo asked. You think you can kill me? You're already dead. Naruto answered, just under a genjutsu that slows time. Wah! Drawing a kunai, Jirobo cut himself breaking the genjutsu. Only to see a fatal cut on his body. He was dead before he could scream. Naruto, Choji and Tayuya were running through the woods again. From what Choji told him they were up against the remaining Sound 4. I sense Shino up ahead. Naruto stated. At his words Tayuya started laughing. What's so funny? Choji asked. If he's up against who I think he is, you'll laugh too. She answered. They arrived. It was a fight between Shino and Kimimaro. Naruto starred hard. The area was full of webs and beetles. Inside one specific web was Shino. That's right, Shino was stuck in had his beetles spread out around him in a defensive position. But he himself was trapped and nearly helpless. How's it hanging? Naruto asked. I will kill you, Shino stated. Naruto opened his mouth, only to close it. He repeated the action several times. I can't think of anything else to say, Naruto admitted. There were hundreds, maybe thousands of spider jokes. Naruto couldn't think of a single one. Then he felt the spike in chakra. Drawing the kusanagi, he began deflecting the weapons. They were ranged boomerang-type weapons. Because of their ability to change directions, they were hard to locate. Unless you were a sensor. Aiming the kusanagi blade in the opposite direction, Naruto let it extend. It pierced through the tree forcing Kimimaro back, just barely missing him. Back into someone's chest. You shouldn't try hiding from a sensor, Naruto stated. Kimimaro was no fool. Jumping back, he tried to make a run for it. He dashed the opposite way further into the forest. Looking sideways he saw Tayuya beside him. She drew her flute. Before she could get the first knot out, he jumped. He angled through the tree with the skill worthy of a ninja. Only to see Naruto at the end of his path. Can I cut you yet? He asked. With a scream of rage, the Sound Nin lunged for Naruto. Using one of his fists, he threw a strong jab. Naruto was ready and grabbed the fist. With his grip on it, Kimimaro couldn't get free. I won't go that easy, Kimimaro shouted. Naruto was about to continue his attack when he felt searing pain on his chest. Looking down he saw that he had been cut. Kimimaro had been holding a golden kunai-like weapon in his lower hand. Before he could go for a second attack, Naruto pushed him back. The Sound Nin landed on a lower branch a few feet away. Drawing his elemental sword he charged. The fire chakra he was putting off was out of control, it was turning whatever it met to ashes. Kimimaro jumped further back and began weaving seals. Multi-sticky gold spider webs. He unleashed a barrage of thick, golden, spider-like webs. Naruto simply cut through them. Now he was in range. Raising the sword high, he brought it down on Kimimaro's head. The blow knocked him down through several branches before he caught himself. That should have split him in half. Naruto though. Looking at his sword, he was shocked at what he saw. It was the sticky, gold-like spider webs. They somehow avoided being burned to nothing. They actually covered Naruto's sword, sealing the flames. I see, Naruto mumbled. Look out shithead, Tayuya screamed. Naruto looked in her direction in time to see his arm. Well, not his arm, but the spider web on his arm. The one covering and holding a high-powered explosive tag to Naruto. Damn, was all he could say before the tag went off. I killed him, Kimimaro whispered. I killed him. He began to cheer at the death of his enemy. Until he felt his entire body become cold. Especially around his kidney. I'm not dead yet, Naruto screamed as he pushed the sword deeper, but you are. I could have won that fight. Shino stated. No you couldn't. Choji stated. Quote. I'll have my hive infest the Akamichi food storage. I'll be good. Choji whimpered. If you want, you can have the next opponent. Naruto offered. Good. The squad arrived in time to see Saken and Uken nearly finish Kiba. The only thing that stopped him were the two swords Naruto threw at them. It forced them away but didn't hit them. Shino stepped forward. You're still alive? Saken asked. I thought Kimimaro would have finished you off. I guess he got distracted. Uken paused, spinning the yarn. The brothers broke down into a fit of laughter. What is the biggest ant in the world? Saken asked. What? The elephant. Ha 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 ha. Shino began walking forward. Why did the kid throw the butter out the window? Why? He wanted to see butter fly. Ha 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 ha. Shino began weaving hand signs. Why did the bee go to the doctor? Why? She had hives. Ha 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 ha. Shino whispered the name of his attack. What kind of bee makes milk? What? Boo bees. Ha ha ha. Oh my god. Life-draining swarm. As the name described, a swarm of Shino's insects attacked. The clustered as one looking like a tsunami. Saken and Uken couldn't stop laughing to see. The swarm seemed to consume them into the mass. When the jutsu ended, the bugs returned to their master. All that was left of Saken and Uken were dried up husks. Dude, Naruto spoke, that was unnecessarily brutal. Pot. He pointed to Naruto. Kettle. The Aburame pointed to himself. Have to agree they're shithead. Chiyuya stated. Choji agreed as he ate the chips. Naruto. Chiyuya spoke. If we're up against who I think we are next, we may be in trouble. Why's that? Naruto asked. Kimimaro. The bone guy. Naruto asked. I beat him before. Not at full health. Chiyuya stated. Together the sound four couldn't do it. Why do you think he would be at full health? Chiyuya looked away. This caused Naruto to stop. The rest followed suit. Orochimaru gave me an offer. She spoke. Bring the Uchiha or die by the rejuvenated Kimimaro. She looked Naruto in the eyes. I chose to stay with you. I believe you, he answered. But how strong can he be? Naruto asked. The tree near his head shattered into pieces. Hello trash. The Kagaya greeted. Naruto looked toward the rejuvenated Kagaya. Naruto could feel the chakra coming off him. It was on a different scale than before. He's using the curse mark at level 1 and yet he's stronger than Gaara. Naruto thought. Where is Sasuke Uchiha? Naruto asked. That is of no concern to you trash. Naruto spoke in a serious tone. Cloak yourself and the others in a genjutsu and hide. Kiba didn't like that plan. Wait a minute Dobi I can still. He was silenced by the tree near his head shattering. Hide you say, good plan. Naruto stood his ground in front of the group. He needed to wait until they were safe and hidden. Digital shrapnel. The Kagaya fired 10 bullet-like bones from the tip of his finger. So that's what he's been using. Naruto thought. He knew what they could do when sick. He didn't want to find out what a healthy one could. Let alone 10. Quick blade. Drawing the Kusanagi, Naruto was able to deflect all 10 of them. The force behind each bullet was tremendous. Good thing I chose the Kusanagi. He eyed the sword. If I had used the elemental sword, it would have snapped. Naruto looked back toward Kimimaro and realized something. He had made his first mistake. He took his eyes of the enemy. The Kagaya was no longer on the branch. He was now in the air initiating his next attack. Bracken dance. From his chest a forest of sharp bones flew out. They rained down on the young blonde in tremendous numbers. Only one thing I can do. He reached into a pouch and pulled out a scroll. Dodge. From the scroll came a wave of kunai. Attacked to the kunai were high-grade explosive tags. Each one connected with a bone pillar and activated. The explosions didn't destroy all of the bone pillars, but they destroyed enough. When the smoke cleared, Naruto was gone. Where is he? Kimimaro asked himself. Black flower's petals began to reform into Naruto behind the Kagaya. He crossed the blades in front of the Kagaya's neck. Nowhere to run, Naruto stated. Surrender. Never. Kimimaro answered calmly. Too calmly. The Kagaya suddenly sprouted dagger-like bones from every part of his body. It forced Naruto to release the sound ninja and backstep onto another branch. Kimimaro was already upon him, bone dagger drawn. Naruto barely had time to block the weapon with his own. They were now in a power struggle. His blows are heavy, Naruto realized, and he's only using the first level. The Kagaya added more pressure, breaking the struggle. It forced Naruto out of the branch toward the ground. Die trash! The Kagaya screamed. Naruto drew his elemental sword and pumped chakra as he swung. Out came a torrent of water, knocking the Kagaya into a tree. Damn! Naruto growled. He made his second mistake. I didn't focus on the element. Ninja were adaptable creatures, but I can use this. Demonic illusion. Tree binding death. The tree seemed to come alive around the Kagaya as Naruto emerged from it. Didn't you learn? The Kagaya asked. Another armor of bone emerged. However, unlike last time, Naruto stood his ground. I learned, you didn't. Naruto stated. I'm a genjutsu master, I could be anywhere. I see. Kimimaro stated. Time to end this. The Kagaya's curse mark began to grow. It eventually consumed his as his chakra level grew. It was strong enough to break the genjutsu. His body then began to transform. His skin darkened into a gray along with his hair. 6 large bones began protruding from his back. Finally, a tail began protruding from his backside. Naruto began pumping fear, and a lot of it. I have a feeling I'll be needing it, he thought. They ran toward each other, their power rising. Obviously intending to end the fight as quickly as possible. Nothing ever goes as planned. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. A ball of fire flew between them. It was obviously not an attack meant to hurt either. Whoever did it wanted their attention. They turned toward the offender. Uchiha-sama, Kimimaro spoke. Why are you here? You are supposed to be on your way to Orochimaru-sama. The Uchiha didn't answer immediately, he sent a glance to Naruto. When I was told that a maddening type of chakra was following me, I knew it was you. He spoke to Naruto. I couldn't resist this. Resist what? Naruto asked. That look in his eyes. Naruto thought. They were the look of a poisonous snake savoring the venom, killing the prey. Wait, did he say, told? Dobi, meet my escort. Sasuke spoke. A pair of arms nearly wrapped around Naruto. If it weren't from his quick reflexes, they might have gotten him. Naruto looked at the new mysterious enemy. There was a cloak and veil hiding the main details. All he could make out from the face were violet eyes showing through an opening. From the slim body, she was obviously female. She had a sword on her side, was in a ready stance. The harder he looked, he saw that they were the eye of someone from the impure world resurrection technique. Whoever they used to be, they were skilled. Naruto thought. The enemy had been able to hide from Naruto's natural and chakra sensor abilities. So you are Naruto? The figure asked. Yes, and you are? Naruto asked back. The person who's going to break you. She answered before vanishing and appearing behind him. Like a kick-cack bar. What? Naruto spun around and attempted the quick blade attack. I repeat, attempted. She was able to grab his arm and steal his sword. I believe the snake humper would enjoy this back. She stated, throwing the sword to the Kagaya. What? Naruto was surprised she had insulted Orochimaru like he would. Then she used an attack that shocked him. Quick blade. The blow was used with the flat side of the sword. It was still enough to knock him through a tree. He was at a loss. What the hell is going on? Watch your mouth, she shouted. What are you, my mother? He asked. Naruto's statement seemed to have struck a nerve. The figure went completely still, and laughed. A laugh of madness. No. Hehehehe ha 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 ha. No. She began to remove her veil, showing her red hair. No. That's right, Naru-chan. She stated. I'm your mama. She appeared behind him again. And I'm going to give you a spanking. Mom. Naruto stared at the lady that had just claimed to be his deceased mother. There's no way, but there was, and Naruto knew it. She had been resurrected by Orochimaru. All right, let's do this, Naruto shouted. He formed a seal to the one ninjutsu he'd ever need. Shadow Clone Jutsu. The clones popped into existence, one after another. When they stopped, 20 Naruto clones stood ready for battle. The first wave of 5 jumped forward. Kushina simply dashed through them, lightly waving her sword. When she was done, everyone stopped. What the? Give it a minute, Kushina spoke. Just as she said, the clone fell to pieces. Literally. Second wave. Naruto shouted, "You know what to do." This time it was 10 clones. They raised their swords. Shin no Ippo Stage 3. They were fear and fear feared nothing. That's powerful, Kushina stated. I think I'll actually have to try this wave. The clones and Kushina began a massive barrage of swinging swords. It seemed that the clones would get an opening only for her to block. When Naruto thought they were in a deadlock, he thought he had the edge. He could send more clones in and turn the tide. That's what he thought until he heard it. Patty cake baker's man. She took down 5 clones. Bake me a cake as fast as you can. And the other 5 go. Third wave. Naruto shouted to his last 5 clones. Fuck you. They shouted before running the other way. What? In Konoha, everyone's least favorite 9-tailed fox was enjoying a nap. That was until she felt a something so familiar that she was startled awake. Everything okay? Tsunade asked. I sense a presence, she stated as she strained for the answer, one I haven't felt since. One from a past life of hers. It was that of her previous host. Kushina. Come on Naruto-kun. Kushina spoke. Surely you can give your mother a better challenge than that. Hey bitch, who the hell are you? Yuya snapped, breaking the genjutsu. You think it's fucking funny to make that claim. She drew her flute ready to attack. Kushina smiled, freezing Yuya in place. Let's go Akamaru, Hiba ordered. The dog user drew a kunai and charged. If he had paid attention, he would have noticed his companion didn't. Kushina caught his hand. Look at me, boy. Kushina stated. Put your weapon away. Jutsu don't stop me. Kunai don't hurt me. Look at me. Hiba had no choice. The fear was too much. I am a pilot error. I am fetal distress. I am the random chromosome. I am complete and total madness. I am fear. She released him. And Naruto. Yuya started. I think she's. Don't say it, please. Naruto stated in tone they were unfamiliar with. I know. He admitted. She's my mom. What did you say? Tsunade asked in disbelief. Kushina's back. Kyuubi stated. But something's off. It seems she's not really alive. Tsunade understood. Orochimaru, you bastard. You're the fastest. Tsunade stated. Go after them, I'll inform the others. In a blur the demon was off. Naruto stared at the women before him. You know, I've always wanted to know about you. Naruto stated. If you had abandoned me or if you really were dead. Both I and your father loved you and still do. Kushina stated warmly. Don't you ever doubt that. Thank you. He had needed to hear that answer for years. Naruto, you know that you need to stop me. She stated. I can't. He had just gotten his mother. How could she ask him to do such a thing? I just can't. Enough of the emotional discussion. Kimimaro stated. You were given an order to ensure that the Uchiha made it to Orochimaru safely and that nothing stood in his way. Kushina stated. I was also told to follow the Uchiha's orders. What were they again? Slay the blonde nuisance. Sasuke stated proudly. So if you took the Uchiha and went to Orochimaru while I fought. She began. Then I wouldn't be breaking any orders. Quote. Fine. The Kagaya stated. Let's go Sasuke-sama. No, I won't leave until I see the Dobi dead. Sasuke shouted. Now kill him. As you wish. Kushina spat. She charged forward with her own sword drawn. It was an exact copy of Naruto's fox sword, even down to the red blade. The speed was overwhelming. Naruto never even had the chance to put up a decent guard until it was too late. He would have been beheaded if it weren't for one thing. Kyuubi. In a blur of red, Kushina had been split in half by Kyuubi's red and demonic claw. They watched as her 2 halves fell from the trees to the ground. Mom! Naruto cried. Kyuubi, what did you do? There isn't much time Naruto. The demon rushed. She'll heal in a matter of seconds, you have to A pair of glowing chains were wrapped around her. The pressure was too much for her to break free of. Even with all of her power, she was helpless to the chains. Naruto followed the chains to their wielder. A second Kushina. It seemed that she also knew the clone technique. Kushina was back up and studying the situation. She would have made the clone crush the demon, until she felt something. Sasuke-sama, Kimimaro stated. We must leave. I said no. But Auric, I don't care what you master ordered. Sasuke snapped. I'm not leaving auntie. He was silenced by a chop to the neck. No one disobeys Orochimaru-sama, Kimimaro stated. Not even you. Grabbing the boy, they were off. Naruto was leaking a lot of killer intent at his mother. It was obvious that he was struggling with himself. Fight and re-kill the mother you always wanted. Or, let one of the ones you love die. I sense a strong urge to kill me. Kushina stated. Good, now just cut me down. She didn't give him a chance to respond. They were quickly stuck in a power struggle. Quick blade. The two unleashed an attack of speed nearly impossible to follow. Both were trying to get the upper hand of the other. Both were trying to hold themselves back so that they wouldn't hurt the other. But under that, if you stared hard enough, you would see smile. Kushina, a smile of pride at her son. Naruto, a smile of love. They broke apart, jumping back 5 feet. They began running around each other in a full circle at top speed. Fox glare. Naruto had hoped to catch her by surprise. It did, for a second. A second later and it was broken. The technique only worked on those with a weaker will. This kunoichi did not have a weak will. What was that? She asked. The fox glare. It allows me to master genjutsu and collect fear. He answered. It was a gift given to me from Kyuubi. He noticed her looking down and shuffling her feet. What? Kyuubi never gave me that ability. Kushina sulked. I did give you the ability to manipulate fear. Said demon struggled to speak. Yeah, she admitted, but not the fox glare. Are you shitting me? Naruto exclaimed. We are in a bad woe. The mother grabbed Naruto by the hand and pulled him over her knee. She then began spanking him with the flat side of her sword. No cursing. Sweet boys don't curse. She paused at a realization. I'm giving you your first spanking, yay. Naruto could only lay there and take it. Flower petal escape. He was gone in a breeze of black petals. In his place was a scroll. This scroll has been glued to your hand. It will now release a stream of kunai that will tear you apart. Have a nice day. That's not fair at all. P.S. We don't give a fuck. Dodge. The word was shouted throughout the entire forest. It's still not enough. A voice spoke behind him. Naruto spun around to give a diagonal slice to his mother. It was easily sidestepped. Damn, she's good, he mentally screamed. Need to try and read her movements. She began with a one-handed thrust. He was able to slightly sidestep it so that it missed his head. It did however cut a few strands of his hair. Next was a slide slash that nearly finished him. He was able to dodge again. Kushina then brought the sword down for a vertical slash. Naruto raised his own sword stopping her. When their blades connected, he was able to send a strong bolt of electrical chakra through it. It broke her stance. There, he had a clear shot. He dashed forward. When he was in striking distance, it became inevitable. She couldn't block or dodge any of his attacks. Neither could he. A chakra chain shot out and tore through his shoulder. We have to hurry, Tsunade stated. We can't match your speed. Samui stated. Why are we here again? Kankuro asked. We have to save Naruto and the rest of the team. Tamari answered. No, why are you and I here? Repeated. Other than Gaara, we can't fight on that level. Tamari had to admit he was right. I'm more concerned as to why his former Heims are with us. We are concerned, Kurenai answered. Plus if worse comes to worse, we may need a meat shield. Enko stated eyeing Kankuro. Get up Naruto. Kushina ordered coldly. Why is Naruto so sloppy? Hiba asked. I've seen him fight better than that. Shino answered. He can't find the drive to cut down his own mother. Well, I'll just have to give him the drive. Kushina stated after overhearing the conversation. Hey bitch. Chiyuya screamed. Get the hell away from my man. Thank you. Kushina cheered. You just gave me what I needed. What a. Chains appeared around her neck. The chains around Chiyuya and Kyuubi began to constrict. They could barely scream in pain as the chain crushed their throats. Heims. Naruto shouted. Get up Naruto, now. Kushina ordered. Or you, Heims, will be killed by my clone. She didn't want to do this. At best they'll last 5 minutes, maybe 10 for Kyuubi. Death by strangulation isn't pretty. She would have continued if she wasn't stopped by a force of wind. And fire. And lighting. And earth. And water. As the blows connected, Kushina had two thoughts. Pride, my little boy is so strong. Anger, that little shit actually tried to kill me, his mother. The elements tore at Kushina's false body. It carried her through, not one, but several trees. An attack like that would usually kill a person several times over. But for a dead person it was useless. As she laid there under the rubble, she heard a voice. A voice that sent chills down her fake spine. Listen up, Naruto spoke. No one touches my himes, no one. Tsunade was pushing the group to their limit. Inside their heads they shared a thought. Please let us be in time. Turn back, a voice ordered. The group looked to see a team of Narutos. What are you doing here? Tsunade asked with a cage's authority. Naruto wanted us to fight that crazy bitch. Clone 2 answered, so we left him to deal with, whatever she was. Tsunade didn't get to comment as a pressure of fear began to crush them. That's my boy, Kushina thought as she felt the pressure. After enough time under the rubble, she began digging her way out. She wanted to look at the boy, know the man that came from her. She wanted to see her pride and joy. She took a step forward, and felt the coldness of death stand behind her. He's here. Kushina thought he's here to take me back. She knew if she turned around she'd see it. The Shinigami, so she tried not to look. But knowing that it was there, it was truly maddening. Slowly, so slowly, she turned. And she saw it. Not the Shinigami, not the man and not the boy. It was her son. She saw the essence of fear. And Naruto, her son. Allow me, he began. Allow me to show you. He vanished and spoke behind her, that which cannot be seen. She turned just in time to be decapitated. But it was all useless on the dead. As she felt the chill of fear go up her spine, she began to laugh. A laugh of madness few could ever make. Her son soon joined in with a mad laughter of his very own. That's it, Naruto, she encouraged. Give in to madness, it make the pain of the heart more bearable. Her hair began to rise and flow under the power of fear. It split into 9 tail-like bundles in the ominous aura. One move, Naruto stated. Fine, Kushina agreed. Aim for my skull, there's a seal on the inside. Quote. Understood. They could yell some random attack. They could use their most powerful jutsu. They could do a lot of things. But they wouldn't. It was going to be one attack each. Whatever they did, it would be from their own skills. Not the power of a jutsu or technique. It was just them, and fear. The two walked forward. They met, and they walked past each other. The first person fell to the ground. It was Naruto. Kushina stood holding her sword covered in blood, his blood. It was a good fight, Naruto. She stated, and I'm impressed, but you weren't strong enough yet. He. Naruto chuckled. Naruto opened his hand and out came a shattered seal. So you were a little faster than me, huh? Just a little, he answered. I released some weights I forgot I had on. I bet you all did too. If it weren't for them I'd be dead. Yuya was it. Kushina spoke. Could you play us a lullaby? Why yeah, she knew just what kind she needed to play. The Himes, mistresses and Sand sibling arrived at a strange sight. Naruto in a locked gaze with Kushina. Neither were moving, they were a genjutsu. In the air was a sad melody. Play my Hime OST, it's only a fairy tale now. Naruto and Kushina were alone. No one from the outside world would disturb them. Could disturb them. The only proof that the real world existed was to Yuya's melody. The light of the world would change colors to the smoothest tones one could imagine. The sun stood high in the cloudless sky. They walked through a field of grass and flowers. Little fox cubs played around without a care in the world. It was peaceful. It was perfect. Naruto was no longer the embodiment of fear. Here he was a healthy 6-year-old boy. Innocent to everything in the world. Kushina was no longer a puppet. She was healthy mother. They made their way to a hill. On top was swing set. The very one he used at the academy when he was alone. Mommy, can you push me? He asked with the innocence only a child could have. Yes honey, she answered with the love only a mother could have. Lightly, she placed him onto the swing. His legs didn't even come close to reaching the bottom. She pushed him, slowly. Then she began to push him faster, higher. Naruto could finally feel it. Something he had only witnessed at a distance. The one thing he could truly say he envied from the others around him. It was the one thing he had ever wanted in his life. It wasn't fame. It was power. It wasn't fear. It was a mother's love. Kushina could finally feel it. She had never had the chance to do so before. She had died before she ever had the chance to experience it. Her son's love. They shared a laugh. Not one of madness or pain. It was a kind laughter. One filled with joy and love. It was the laugh of a family. They were happy. But it wasn't to last. I can make it last. Naruto thought defiantly. He could. In the Genjutsu world, Naruto reigned supreme. Time was nothing to someone like Naruto. He could stop the essence of time altogether. They could spend eternity together. He could do anything. Make a world for them. In the Genjutsu world, he was God. But he wasn't God. He was Naruto Uzumaki. He was just a man. Chiyuya's melody had stopped. But the Genjutsu wasn't over. What do we do? Ahime asked. We wait. The calming lights had gone out. The perfect sky was now full of gray clouds that turned black. The fields of grass and flowers had withered up. Now there was only a barren land. The foxes no longer played carelessly. There were no foxes to play. There was only bones. On the hill was a single figure. Naruto Uzumaki. He was no longer an innocent little boy. There was no more love. No more happiness. Just bitter truth. The Genjutsu world couldn't protect him anymore. In the end, it was only an illusion. Now he had to face reality. He was once again a broken man. A broken boy. A broken boy that wanted his mommy. Naruto did something he hadn't done since his heartbreak. He cried. It's done. Kyuubi stated. Let's get him home. Tsunade stated. As they walked, Chiyuya began to play another song. The tears stopped flowing from Naruto. Something close to a smile made its way to his face. When Naruto awoke, he would have to face reality once again. For now he's earned a little bit of peace. Even if it's just in a mirage. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.